Welcome to the Instamentor podcast. I am the Instamentor's founder, Leon Wei, and this is the podcast where I interview industry experts and startup founders who share their experiences to help you grow your career in tech. Whether it's landing your first job after graduation from school or switching to a different company or a different career track. In this interview, I talked to Alex Chao, Uber ATG's first data scientist hire and our newest mentor. I asked him about his experience landing the job as the first data scientist hire at Uber's self-driving car division, Uber ATG. Challenges and opportunities for machine learning in the self-driving car industry. How he switched from a data scientist role to a product manager role, and how his data science background and analytic skills have helped him landing the job at C3.ai. His experience in mentoring others, and his best advice for anyone who wants to land their first data scientist or machine learning engineer job. In the end, we talked about a crazy business idea in AI. If you're interested to learn from Alex directly, you can now book a one-on-one conversation with him at instamentor.com/mentors/Alex Chao. I hope you enjoy the interview. Hey, Alex, welcome to the interview. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm good. Thanks for having me, Leon.
Thanks for joining us as our newest mentor on the platform, and we're super excited to have you. For our audience out there who are not super familiar with your background, can you tell us a bit about yourself? What have you been working on lately?
Yeah. So I'm currently a product manager at SambaNova Systems, where we're working on delivering the next generation of AI chip hardware, as well as the software to go along with that. Prior to SambaNova, I was at C3.ai working on enterprise machine learning products and looking to bring deep learning to the Fortune 2000. At the same time, or previously, prior to that, I was at Uber's self-driving car group, working as a data scientist, machine learning engineer, working to build computer vision-like applications and algorithms and put it on the vehicle itself. So very much all kind of across the stack as a product manager, but as a data scientist. So very much in the weeds of doing machine learning data science.
Yeah, so you've done quite a bit, especially in the AI and data science and machine learning space. Do you have a favorite quote? Like what motivates you to get out of bed and do what you do every day?
I don't have a one quote, but it's really just being grateful, being thankful to be able to have another day. I think if there is a quote, it would be like every day is a gift. That's why they call it having that heart of gratitude and thankfulness that I'm just really blessed to be able to do what I do. I know a lot of people, especially during this time, are struggling in different ways. But for me, just being able to do work that I really enjoy and to use my skill sets, my talents, experience to hopefully drive the machine learning AI space. I think that's what gets me excited, and that's why I like waking up in the morning to do interviews like this.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I remember Steve Jobs had a commencement speech. That was many years ago at Stanford. It goes like, hey, if you are thinking about if today is the last day of your life, someday it will be true. So yeah, I love your idea of getting motivated. So especially you're working in the AI and machine learning space, which changes a lot almost on every day, every week, every month. There are new technologies out there. So you were hired as the first data scientist at Uber's advanced technology group about 5-6 years ago, right? So Uber was the hottest company in the world at the time. They still are today. So how did you get in? Like, do you have any secret weapons on preparing for the tough interviews? I'm sure it could be like super competitive, especially for the first hire. They have to be super careful.
Yeah, I would say it was very much the confluence of luck and sort of just the right timing. I just got reached out on LinkedIn from a recruiter saying,
Mhm.
hey, Uber has this like secret project going on. We can't really tell you anything about it, but it's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Are you interested? And I was like, okay, I mean, this sounds either like a scam or maybe something that's worth looking at. It's very much like before they were mostly known for their like the steel industry and
Right,
manufacturing.
right.
And they very much have this like blue collar kind of mindset to them. So they work really hard. They're fanatical about their sports and
Steelers, is that the name of the football team, right?
that's right. But I think especially after like the sort of like financial crisis and all that, uh, they remained a hub because
Mhm.
of universities like Carnegie Mellon and Pitt. They
Right.
remained a hub for actually like robotics research,
Mhm.
machine learning as well. So actually, Uber at the time, this was late 2014, early 2015. They came to Pittsburgh. They were actually scouting the world really
Yeah,
for where they could find the best robotics engineering talent because
right.
they, at least Travis, the CEO at the time, was what thought that self-driving cars would be an existential threat to
Mhm.
Uber's business. So
Mhm.
as a result, he and a small group of team people, they they went to find where they could find the best talent to build driving cars, and they centered around Pittsburgh.
Mm.
So that's where the Uber's Advanced Technology Center first started. They hired about 40 or so initial like researchers from Carnegie Mellon. There were a lot of research engineers that
Yeah,
came from NREC,
yeah.
National Robotics Engineering Center. They came they joined Uber, and I think
Okay.
at least a handful of other like professors or postdocs as
Mhm.
well. So yeah, it was yeah, like it was certainly a quote unquote brain drain of
Right.
that. But I think what some of the beneficial things that came out of that was, yeah, Uber worked extensively with Carnegie Mellon. They worked to bring both interns, PhDs, students, master students, like all coming in and really honestly like revitalize the Pittsburgh sort of startup and tech scene.
Nice.
And you're
Great,
starting to see
great for
actually
the
more,
economy. Yeah.
yeah, you're actually starting to see more and more of that with like more self-driving startups like Argo,
Mhm.
Aurora, and
Yep.
even outside of that. And like most recently, the Duolingo
Yep.
IPO was super successful,
Oh,
kind of a testament Pittsburgh tech.
so they're also based in Pittsburgh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Actually,
Interesting. Okay.
Duolingo was kind of infamous for having in San Francisco a billboard saying, "Hey, do you want to work on cool tech but not live in San Francisco? Come to Pittsburgh."
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very appealing. Yeah. Cool. That's a great story. I'm sure you must have a very exciting time there. Uber was growing super fast at the time, and it was the most challenging company to get an interview for data scientists. I also heard that Uber ATG got acquired by Aurora last year. Is that right?
That's right.
And
Yeah, that was
yeah,
after I left.
yeah,
That
that's
was right.
after you left, right? And there are still a handful of self-driving car companies out there, like Aurora, like you mentioned, Argo, Cruise maybe, and Google's Waymo, and Tesla. Which one is the current leader in this space, or which company do you think has the biggest potential to be the first company for L4 or even L5?
Yeah, I mean, this comes with like disclaimer that I'd be like super biased in this,
Sure.
but I mean, you can't deny that Waymo has the in terms of the time spent, the resources spent, like
Hmm.
they've been working on this problem for the longest time. So
Hmm.
they've have sort of yeah, actual like real world commercial deployments in Phoenix and possibly elsewhere as well.
Right.
Some of these other players, though, so like Tesla, like
Hmm.
the advantages of that is the Tesla fleet, right? So if you believe that self-driving cars is a problem that really is going to be solved with machine learning, of which yeah, I'm definitely a firm believer of. And having data, right? Having an
Yes.
abundance of data is key to that, right?
Hmm.
If you don't have data, you can't move
Absolutely.
forward. Tesla definitely has a lot of advantages on that side. I think they're approaching it from a different angle though by saying that they're going to do pure vision. So some of these other companies, actually most of them, have decided that they want to have multiple sensors really to increase the like the field of view and what they are able to perceive, but also to introduce redundancy,
Mhm.
right? So that's why you have
Yeah.
LiDAR, that's why you have radar, that's why you
Mhm.
have ultrasonics in addition to the camera. So it remains to be seen like which approach
Mhm.
actually is best. I
Yeah.
think you are starting to see more and more consolidation in this space. So
Mhm.
fewer startups are able to operate independently. And a lot
Right.
of that is recognition that it's a super costly, super expensive
It is. Yeah.
endeavor to go down, right? Some people would say you need at least a minimum of $1 billion just to like
Started.
just to really
Right.
like get started in a serious way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so I've seen lots of debates online whether to use LiDAR, multiple sensors in addition to computer vision, and it's yet to be seen like which technology is superior to other. But with Moore's law, with faster and more cheaper chip, or those semiconductors. I think eventually, like I did, right, we both work in data space for many years, and if you can have like sort of independent data source to existing data, usually a model perform will be better, right? So computer vision provides certain data, and those LiDAR or other multiple sensor data could be correlated to a certain degree, but I would imagine that there are a lot of independent information out there that computer vision has not captured yet. So it's very exciting and very interesting space. So hopefully we'll get you back to the show and talk about self-driving car again. So it's a very exciting space, and you're one of the first data scientists in this area. It's super exciting. So after Uber, you for 5 years, and you joined C3.ai. Most of the customers are enterprise big companies, right? Like Fortune 500 companies. I'm just super curious about like how did the C3.ai get started? How did I acquire the first 10 customers?
yeah, I don't have complete visibility on it, but I do know that C3 AI itself actually went through many pivots, actually.
Mhm.
I think at the very beginning they were called like C3 Carbon, and then they moved to C3 Energy, and then
Mhm.
C3 IoT, and then
Okay.
now most recently C3 AI. So a
Okay.
lot you can see that just by that they've been like riding the secular trend of what they saw as the prevailing kind of technology or
Mhm.
uh, the thing of interest right at the time.
Mhm.
And yeah, a lot of their customers actually are predominantly in the oil and gas or energy space, and that's really like kind of a testament to they kind of identified that as their their value proposition.
I know from my own conversation, this industry is like processing a huge amount of data, right?
Yep.
Relatively unknown to people who work at internet. One use case is like they want to analyze image data, satellite image data to try to find where to dig or where to set up the equipment,
So
find oil or natural resources or any other resource use cases.
that's one.
Okay.
I think even just more fundamentally, like you can imagine, like in a oil rig or any of these like sites, right? There's
Mhm.
a ton of devices that are each individually capturing data, right?
Right, right.
This is truly like IoT, right? Things, sensors at the edge, and they're each individually collecting, processing, and storing data.
Mhm.
And as such, right, C3AI would say like, oh, okay, we would come in and actually be able to build intelligent services or machine learning on top of each
Mhm.
individual sensor, each individual kind of windmill or something like that, so that you can monitor, like, okay,
Interesting.
does one piece of equipment fail? If so, then like
Got it.
take some action, or you could even do some more like predict maintenance as well, optimization, like those sort of
Yep.
things.
I've seen some companies that try to install a IoT on the car's engine, for example, and then just constantly listening to and then if there's any outliers, they will warn the car owner that there might be something wrong. I better go check it out before the engine broke down. It's gonna cost you much more money. So that's super interesting. Do you guys deploy any like computer machine learning models on those devices, like the what they call on edge computing?
Yeah, there was some of that. I think the challenges with the edge computing is that, right, these devices will have very limited sort of compute
Computers
power.
power, yeah.
And sometimes you don't actually always need to truly have it at the edge, like
Right.
have it be like super real time.
Mhm.
You could do these things in batch where you just collect data and then run the machine learning model
Mhm.
just kind of on a more periodic basis. So that can be like done at more of a like a central server. So yeah, it really depends on the use case.
I also noticed that when you joined C3, you changed from a data scientist role to a senior product manager role. And I'm also curious, like, what made you make the switch? And for our audience out there, I've met so many people who are interested in both space. Like, from your experience, what do you think are the pros and cons of a data scientist comparing to a product manager role? And what is the best way to think through it and make a good decision?
Yeah, so for me, it was really about I made the switch actually during the pandemic. So
Mhm.
as you can imagine, right, I'm here at home, kind of stuck at home, and kind of wondering, oh, like what can I do? Slightly bored, like I'm trying to think about like what should I actually do with the next phase of my career, right? I could certainly have continued down the data scientist or machine learning engineer kind of route and just continue being more of a individual contributor in that way,
Mhm.
or maybe go into like management of data scientists or
Right.
whatnot. But I think for me, what I was really interested in and what I got to do kind of a bit towards the end of my time at Uber and then kind of prompted me to look elsewhere was yeah, actually like working and defining like products and thinking more
Mhm.
about what sort of not just features, but actually like full products can be built with the capabilities of machine learning, of computer vision, natural
Mhm.
language, etc. And I think that sort of kind of opened my perspective and also yeah, just got the creative juices flowing
Right.
to make me think like, oh, like I really enjoy thinking about more things at the product level
Mhm.
and at the same time also enjoying like the algorithms and reading research papers
Mhm.
and understanding like oh some of the latest and greatest like tricks and methods to do machine learning better. But I think I still geared more towards the applied side.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's basically my story of I wanted to kind of explore that. I will say that it wasn't an easy sort of transition, mostly because as you can imagine, as I'm sure your listeners can imagine, when you're trying to make any sort of like career pivot and you're trying to even just like apply, right? You could
Mhm.
get blocked at the recruiter stage, right? Even if
Right.
you think
Right.
that you have a lot of experience and it
Experience.
could be a natural fit, a recruiter could be like, oh, you don't already have you're not already a product manager, you're not already, you have X amount of years in the
Right.
space. So there's risk, right? At least
Yep.
from the hiring side for them to give you a shot. So if there's any bit of sort of advice or perspective there from my side that I could offer, it would be, yeah, to find ways to either do that at your current workspace to
Mhm.
maybe take on more if you're interested in making a shift to product management, right? Taking more work that's like that. Some companies actually offer a sort of like a in between role where you can sort of do maybe yeah like just try out the role and with expectation that if it goes well then you can move into that role like full time. And but if you're doing it just purely externally, I think this is where you have to actually exercise more of your uh
Resources, network.
well resources network, kind of even your marketing, right? You have
Right.
to learn how to market yourself and
Right.
try to convince someone else to say, hey, like, give me a shot beyond what you see on my resume or beyond what my previous title was. Like, I believe that I can do this next job like really well.
Right.
So yeah, so for me, I think I'm super thankful for C3 and my manager there to have given me a shot to, hey, like I think when they interviewed me and
Mhm.
as I was going through the process, they recognized that, oh, we actually need like people like yourself, Alex, who actually have done the data science or machine learning work themselves and
Mhm.
understand the unique pain points of that and have a lot of empathy,
Mhm.
so that you can build better products
Right. That's
for
the
those.
extra bonus of your skills to them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I always found that to be a great data scientist, you have to really understand the business, really understand the product, and because a lot of those business logic and how the data is flowing through the pipeline, how the product work, how users interact with the product, that give you a very good sense of which data is good, which features may not be super useful, and help guiding you through the modeling process and be able to help you fetch the right data. A good understanding of a product is a key to a success data science career. So you definitely have a fantastic experience for your career in the tech industry, in machine learning and AI. Thank you very much for sharing those experiences with us. That was very exciting. So you also have been helping others and mentor others in the last few years. And for our audience out there who are mostly young professionals in the early stage of their career, what do you think, like what groups of people can benefit most from your mentorship if they wanted to reach out to you on Instamentor and have a conversation?
Sure. Yeah. I would say for me, from my previous time being a mentor at places like Springboard,
Mm-hmm.
I very much have seen students or even experienced professionals come in and say like, hey, like I'm interested in breaking into data science, or I'm looking to expand my skill set, or
Mm-hmm.
add more tools to my toolbox, so that I can do data science at my current job, or to break into the industry. I would say that it's great to have the enthusiasm. It's great to have the energy to do that. When you actually start doing the preparation, you need that energy and that motivation to drive you, because it's going to be tough. It's going to be long, and you're going to have moments where you're not seeing as much progress. But it's very much like the principle of like compound interest, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you invest in yourself, right, and you just continue to do that, you'll eventually see exponential growth, and truly like be able to achieve whatever you want to achieve. I
Right.
think that there are real barriers sometimes. If let's
Mm-hmm.
say you come from a non-technical space, or maybe you have a degree that's not the perfect fit for what, let's say, job descriptions are describing. This
Mm-hmm.
is where, yeah, you do have to be creative, and you have to figure out like, how can I sort of prove these people wrong, that like I can actually do the job and I can do it well.
Right.
And part of that can come in the form of taking additional coursework. It can
Mm-hmm.
go in the form of like getting certificates, or even getting like
Sample
a formal
projects.
degree. Or,
Yeah.
yeah, like projects as well. But like in the most extreme case, or at least on the other side of the spectrum, would be to go for a full like formal degree. But I think those, obviously have a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
and money constraints
Right.
for that. And I think the project approach is also good, but to
Mm-hmm.
do that well, you actually need to, yeah, have a mentor, maybe like me, or a community, really, to
Mm-hmm.
help sort of not have to do that in isolation. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
I think a lot of
Getting
the
feedback. Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of the challenge for students, or people looking to break in, is
Mm-hmm.
they view this as like, oh, it's only me. Like I only have just myself to rely on. But it's actually not true, right? You have a larger community, and you just need to find the right like places to plug into that. Yeah, to journey alongside with mentors, with other students, and to make that process a lot
Right.
simpler. So if just, to pitch myself just really quick, it's just, yeah, like I've been able to see and actually place students in
Mm-hmm.
great sort of jobs, or at least
Mm-hmm.
get them to the next stage, so that they are, confident and able to go into interviews feeling that yeah, that they can crush it, that they
Great.
know, like they know with whether a posting is asking for more SQL, if
Mm-hmm.
a posting is asking for like machine learning knowledge or stats understanding, and just, yeah, being able to navigate that in a more smooth way.
Right. Companies tend to give very vague job descriptions, especially big companies, publicly listed companies. They don't want other people or media to be able to find out what they're doing, right? So especially for companies that want to protect their projects, you have to go through a lot of interviews, not just for yourself, but also like writing job descriptions when you are as a hiring manager. And then you understand like how vague the job description can be. So thanks for giving us so much insights, mentoring experience. Out of curiosity, like in your work, in your career, have you ever found any mentor that you find very helpful to you? Do you have any good advice on how to find a good mentor that is going to be great for you?
Yeah, I think finding a mentor is definitely a challenge,
Mm,
because if you're kind of cold reaching out to a mentor, the challenge is like the mentor, only has so much time, so much capacity, and you're trying to add additional time to their calendar.
Right.
But I would say that like if you can identify anyone that you respect, hopefully if you have it in your current workplace or through your school or like anyone, if it's an old professor that you really enjoyed, just honestly keeping those contacts, keeping those relationships alive. I think
Right.
that's a big piece of it. Follow through is
Mhm.
super important. And like if you have that, right, I think that a mentor really is there not always to just like, let's say, open a door or to point you to an opportunity, but it's really also just to be a person that you can just transparently talk to and share more vulnerably of like what your like journey is, what
Mhm.
sort of struggles you're going through, and how maybe the mentor may not necessarily be able to help exactly or right away, but they at least can listen, right? And
Right.
they can be a sounding board for you. So I would say like if you can, if I'm sure I think people view that mentors have to have this particular type of profile for them to be useful or valuable to
Mhm.
them. I think that's a very transactional way to look at it. It's really more like who among your network, who among people that you've come across, like, yeah, just would be good to just keep in touch with and
Yeah,
keep.
absolutely. Yeah, I personally met a lot of people who I consider very successful in the career. And at the very beginning, I was afraid to ask them questions because I don't want to waste their time. But as I grew older and the more years I work, I realized like actually like a lot of people who are very successful, so seem very busy, they're actually very happy to help you. They are willing to share their stories. If you really respect their time, they'll be able to tell you and share their own experience so you can avoid the same mistakes they've made. As you said, follow through it and ask about it and also respect their time and appreciate their help. Right. So final round, a couple of fun questions.
Sure, let's go for it.
Yeah, if you have enough resources or budget to pursue a crazy business idea in the space of AI, what would it be?
Oh, I mean, if I had an unlimited budget, it would be, yeah, it would probably be something along the lines of like pursuing like AGI, the artificial general intelligence, where,
Mhm.
yeah, you're actually trying to push the envelope even further beyond what current machine learning is, which
Mhm.
some people would criticize saying, oh, it's just like glorified pattern recognition, which is, it's fair to say that. But I think what we want to see is, and a lot of different efforts are happening right now to see how do we get there. But yeah, how do we make actually true artificially intelligent
Mhm.
models, but
The-
actually then like products, and how do we get there faster? So, I mean, part of that, if it was truly unlimited budget, it would just be blown all in the research and just trying
Right.
to see like, yeah, what new models, what new methods, what new approaches would
Right.
get it there.
Thanks, Alex. Really appreciate your time today. And we wanted to thank you for your time. And I'm sure your expertise in the data science, AI, and even product management, you are expert across these different fields. I'm sure your expertise and experience will help a lot of, especially in their early stage of their career. So thank you very much for your time today and wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you so much, Leon, for creating this space.
Thanks, Alex.
All right, take care.
Yeah, you too.